It's love at second sight for Spencer and Antoinette Chase.
He was taking care of her heart. He was caring for her, loving her, being there for her.
I thought everything was peaches and cream, you know?
But wild spending can sour even the sweetest love.
I'm the breadwinner. I decide.
The possibility of not having a roof over your head. That's very serious.
Get a doctor!
And homicide is a debt that can never be repaid.
She was just at a breaking point.
180 pounds of dead weight is not going to be held by just anything.
Love may be blind and marriage bliss, but divorce is murder. Washington, D.C., where Antoinette Davis graduates from Eastern Senior High in the late 1970s. 10 years later, her high school reunion is a trip down memory lane, a chance to see old friends.
Excuse me.
And make new ones.
You're Antoinette, right?
And who might you be?
Antoinette is 28 years old and newly divorced with a 6-year-old daughter, Monique.
My mother was very beautiful. She was very pretty. She had pretty eyes and she was very attractive.
To Antoinette, back in high school, fellow student Spencer Chase was just another face in the hall. Not anymore.
Spencer Chase, man. At your service.
Oh, you're so sweet. Do I know you from somewhere?
From a long time ago.
They were working on their class reunion, and they were both on the committee, but apparently they had never been introduced.
This is Spencer Jr. He's 10.
Oh, he's so handsome. That's my baby girl, Monique. The sitter canceled on me at the last minute.
She's so beautiful.
They bond over the fact that they're both divorced with young children.
I see where she gets her good looks.
Oh, you're such a flirt. Too much.
After the meeting was over, he extended his arm to hold the elevator door open for my mother and I. And as he got onto the elevator doors started to close on him. And it was just so funny to me. I just laughed all the way in the elevator, all the way to the car. And even when my mother put me in the car, I laid down in the back seat and I continued to laugh.
Spencer's a charmer and asks her out. But Antoinette is reluctant to take it any further.
She told me about this, and I said, okay, well, what's the deal? Why aren't you willing? And she says, well, once you see him, you'll understand my reluctance. He's really a big guy.
But Spencer won't take no for an answer. He keeps calling, and Antoinette finally decides to give him a shot.
He was a gentleman when he was courting her, and I think it was that demeanor that attracted her more so to him.
When he's not busy courting Antoinette, Spencer's an administrator and maintenance man at a nearby nursing home.
Fred, stop going through my locker and eating my food. Buy your own food.
You know, you could stand to lose a couple pounds.
I heard that.
His colleagues at the nursing home enjoyed his personality and they enjoyed being around him.
He was just a loving person. Everybody in the building liked him.
It was fun. You know, it was a fun job. I think he really enjoyed it.
His wages are modest, but the work is steady, and Spencer is generous.
Every time I seen them, they was always doing something as a couple, going out with one another, church events.
Mostly, he treated her during the early part of the courtship.
Which is fortunate, because Antoinette's salary as an administrator can't cover all the things they like to do.
They like to take cruises. They like to go out of town to the casino, going away to the mountains. They just like to enjoy life.
Antoinette's daughter, Monique, and Spencer's son, Spencer Jr., make it an even 4.
He was just willing to almost bend over backwards to ensure that she was happy and I was happy.
They did a lot of family things together. I know family was very important to her, that dynamic.
Oh, man.
They were very close.
Go ahead, baby.
4 years into their relationship, it's time to make a commitment.
They went to the Justice of the Peace, and as far as the reception, they actually had a really big backyard barbecue and invited all their family and friends to celebrate.
She loved him. You know, she loved Monique and she loved her stepson.
I mean, we had a really good life.
Psychotherapist Stacy Kaiser and forensic psychologist Brian Russell have high hopes for Maryland's newest married couple.
Antoinette and Spencer have really gone about it the right way. They took their time getting to know each other, and they took their time introducing the kids.
They had a 4-year courtship. They didn't just jump right in, certainly didn't jump right into living together and trying to blend households right away, as a lot of couples do.
And so that really sets up a quality future.
2 years after they say I do, Spencer and Antoinette are as happy as ever. And professionally, things couldn't be going better. At least for Antoinette, who has just landed a new job.
When they first met, Spencer earned more money than my mother. But Mommy started working in the federal government, and because my mother was motivated and driven, she excelled quicker than he did.
Antoinette got promotions after promotions during her career.
Primarily because of the difference in the educational level. I don't believe Spencer had any college, and Antoinette did.
Her salary is now double his.
You go have some fun with this, baby.
You know we make a great team.
You know we do.
She was the primary wage earner in our household, which allowed us to have a nice, comfortable lifestyle.
After paying rent for years, Spencer and Antoinette buy a house together in a well-to-do new development in the suburb of Hyattsville, Maryland.
Baby, what'd I tell you?
Everything was new, it was big.
Look at this.
It was pretty. It was a nice house.
How happy are you?
Really happy.
That's not all the Chases enjoy.
Spencer, he dressed very nice, suits, gator shoes.
Big guy, very spiffy dresser. He loved clothes, and he looked good in what he wore.
Antoinette's no penny pincher either.
Well-dressed all the time, well-groomed, made sure her hair was done, her makeup was done, and her nails, both hands and feet, were always done.
In 1998, Spencer's son, who's now 19, moves out to live on his own. With one less mouth to feed, Spencer and Antoinette have more disposable income than ever. But the more they make, the more they spend.
They had joint accounts. And on her paydays, he would go and withdraw large amounts of money, at least $400 to $500.
Yes, we're gonna have a good time tonight.
He didn't have a lot growing up, and he liked the status quo of seeming as though he was upper middle class and could afford the lifestyle and the luxuries.
And Antoinette's more than willing to be the provider.
Whatever she made, it was for the both of them. I didn't see it as a challenge. And she never expressed to me that it was a challenge.
Flowers for me. Ooh, thank you.
He was taking care of her in other ways.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
He was taking care of her heart. He was caring for her, loving her, being there for her.
While they appear to be thriving, the truth is, 5 years into their marriage, the Chases are living so large that their combined salaries, totaling more than $100,000, are barely enough to cover their lavish spending.
Are you kidding me?
She was the moneymaker, but I think he had a lot of say-so on where the money was spent, how it was directed.
He pretty much supposed to have been paying the bills, and the bills didn't get paid.
Spencer, I thought you paid the electricity bill.
I thought I did.
There've been times to where she said that things were cut off because he didn't pay it.
I could think of 1,000 things we can do.
You're so naughty.
She didn't want to make him feel as though he wasn't the man of the house.
She's not confrontational, assertive at all. kind of just let's get along, let's not make a big deal of this. Whatever it takes for everybody to get along, that was Antoinette.
But deep down, Antoinette is starting to worry.
Where's all the money going? Withdrawal after withdrawal.
She definitely felt like he was not pulling his weight. He was satisfied with the way things were.
He needed to get a better job, he needed to make more money, and when you're the primary breadwinner, it can be stressful, and she tried to endure as best as she could.
Carrying the full load is tough, especially when it's dead weight.
He spent the entire check.
I just think it became overwhelming for her.
Spencer and Antoinette Chase have a loving marriage, a nice house, and a combined 6-figure income. But it's still not enough to bankroll their lifestyle. And when they stop paying bills, their facade of affluence crumbles.
What's going on?
Don't worry, baby.
What are these boxes for?
The bank foreclosed on us. We're gonna be staying with my aunt for a little while.
They lose the house.
I was maybe 17 or so when the house went into foreclosure, and it was fast.
When you're talking about the possibility of not having a roof over your head, that's very serious. Where do you go from there?
The Chases have to declare bankruptcy. Just when things appear at their bleakest, Antoinette and Spencer turn to their faith for solace.
Morning.
They both become pastors and vow to live more simply and to help others do the same.
They became more involved in the church, and they really took an active role and really desired to continue.
He was very inspirational to me. He was a good friend.
We come from a very religious family, and God is important, and we believe that what the Bible says you should do and how you should live is how she lived. They stayed with my Aunt Rena for a while, and then they were able to get out on their own and rent again.
The rent was really low in comparison to their house that they owned in Hyattsville.
She accepted that fact, that this is where they were at the time, and this is something that she was going to have to deal with.
We're $300 ahead. It's our best month ever.
That's right, Mama.
I think she had enough faith in him to think that he would do better because he too knew the financial situation that they were in.
Their new lifestyle pays off. After 2 years, the Chases have saved enough to purchase their second home. And it's even nicer than their first.
It was a good-sized house. It had 4 bedrooms. It was a nice home.
Spence! I got the job!
I knew you'd get the job!
2 years after that, Antoinette lands a better job.
Mommy was very driven, and she wanted to leave a legacy for her children. So she worked hard, and she always sought out to excel in her career.
But old habits die hard. The more Antoinette makes, the more Spencer spends.
He would like to pull it out, you know, to pay for things and all.
See you soon.
He was kind of like a showboat person. You know, he wanted to be the big man.
And the bigger the man, the bigger the car.
It's a Benz, brother. Of course it's got leather seats.
Spence, this car.
Hold on.
This car. How are we gonna pay for it? I mean, how are you gonna pay for it?
Baby, you got a good job. We'll be fine.
He liked the idea of impressing people, even if it was a false illusion. I think he thought, she's making enough, she can do this, let her do it.
Antoinette does her best to keep up appearances, even though inside she's falling apart.
I just think it became overwhelming for her in that she didn't see that he was trying to do anything to assist and make the matter better. Antoinette wasn't the type who would likely say, I really need help, this guy isn't carrying the weight. Rather than do that, she would hide it and work as many hours as she could.
Antoinette burns the midnight oil at work, but it's not just for the overtime.
She was trying to avoid him. She didn't want to be bothered with him.
When you've been allowing something for a long time and all of a sudden you're the one that puts on the brakes, it's really a potential for conflict. Puts her in a position where she feels like she has to be bossy or mothering or lecturing or overly responsible. And it puts him in a situation where he might feel resentful because of that.
Antoinette's telling Spencer there's a line and she's past it and that's it.
But Spencer's not just resentful.
What up, Spence?
He's also overwhelmed.
You all right, bro?
He did have a heart episode.
Go get a doctor!
It wasn't classified as a heart attack. It was just classified as a heart episode.
Spencer is admitted to the hospital, and doctors fear he could develop serious heart problems unless he takes on less physically demanding work.
The heart episode slowed him down, and after that happened, Mommy encouraged him to resign from the nursing home, from that maintenance position, and pursue a more laid-back career, so to speak.
As luck would have it, a friend offers Spencer a job as a mortgage broker.
Still got it.
Antoinette is elated that Spencer's in a whole new league status-wise and sees it as a wonderful opportunity for them both. But when Spencer's first paycheck comes, he blows all of it on himself.
He actually threw himself a birthday party at our home, and he spent almost the entire check on the catering and decorations for the party at our house.
It was more important to him, I believe, to impress others as opposed to doing what was right in your own home.
Spencer! You told me that we can't afford to get my nails done, and you blow your wad on this?
Come on, what are you doing? We got guests.
Not my guests.
If you had a wife to make good money and you had full reign over the paycheck, then you don't have to really work hard if you know you're going to have that income coming in steady.
How was your day at work today?
I took the day off. Can you pass me them chips, please?
He didn't want to go to the office.
Hey!
He just wasn't really motivated to do anything.
My chips!
She wasn't very happy about his decision not to take advantage of that opportunity.
After 2 years scraping by as a mortgage broker, Spencer calls it quits and goes back to his old job at the nursing home.
At that point, her salary was inching closer to 6 figures, whereas his was just barely above minimum wage.
Why, Spence? Why'd you quit your job?
I hated it. Ain't no sense in me doing a job I don't like.
Ain't no sense in me being with a man that can't provide.
Don't you start on me with that again.
So hopeless.
And with the old job comes a familiar problem.
They were so behind in so many things, it was even hard to just catch up.
By the way, the Benz is going back.
It's not going anywhere.
I paid for it. I'm the breadwinner. I decide. If you want to keep the car, then you go out and find a way to pay for it.
But if you don't change the behavior, the results will always be the same.
Mom, what is it? Mom.
She didn't understand why he wouldn't help her, why she has to do everything.
After 14 years of marriage, Antoinette makes the toughest decision of her life.
I think that she asked God, what can I do to make it better for myself and my child?
What's going on?
I'm leaving.
What?
I've had enough.
She just wanted to bring some peace and some harmony in her life.
Can we talk about this? Antoinette! Wait!
And he did have a tough time with that. And that's scary when you've been with someone for a long time and they make a decision to leave.
Something wrong, Antoinette? Myself and Spence, we've separated.
What? That kind of took me off guard because usually something like that, things are going on ahead of time and you may hear something negative or whatever, but I never did.
I thought everything was peaches and cream, I didn't have a clue that they was having any financial problems or any problems far within their marriage.
Antoinette moves into a rental home in Springdale, Maryland, with her daughter, Monique.
It's like a breath of fresh air, like a burden's been lifted from her. She actually started to lose weight. I didn't realize how unhappy she was until I saw her happy again.
After she moves out, the Chase's second house goes into foreclosure because Spencer can't cover the mortgage.
At that point, he thought, I've got to do something, because he realized he couldn't even support himself. He needs her income to support himself.
All right.
Hey.
Give us a second, please. Thanks.
Spencer, this is my job.
I brought you flowers.
Spencer, it's over.
One time he came and bought her flowers at work and he wanted to take her on a date. And she was like, I'm not going on no date with him.
He was like stalking her.
Then, just 2 months after their separation, an ambulance is called to the Hyattsville house. Someone's in trouble.
It wasn't a typical attempt where you take a gun and pull the trigger or something along those lines.
She didn't want to have his blood on her hands.
Antoinette and Spencer Chase's marriage collapses under a mountain of debt, and their separation is a real killer. In September 2007, paramedics respond to a 911 call from Spencer.
His body was cool to the touch, and he actually had a little foam coming out of his mouth.
Luckily, there's still time. Spencer is rushed to the hospital.
He took an entire bottle of heart medicine that was designed to keep his heart rate steady. Would have stopped his heart had that medicine taken effect.
Antoinette races to his side.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Don't worry, baby. Just rest.
They had a discussion about how he was feeling, why he did what he did, and after so many years of them being together, he just doesn't know how to cope without her in his life. And she asked me how I felt about it if he came to live with us. And I felt for him. I felt sad. I didn't want him to die. He had been in my life since I was 6, so I loved him. She didn't want to have his blood on her hands, meaning that if he was to take his life and she could have prevented it in some way by being there for him, she wanted to do that.
But Antoinette seeks more than just her daughter's approval.
Their pastor had told her that she did not have any reason to leave her husband to seek a divorce from him.
Even with her faith and her heart telling her to take Spencer in, Antoinette still has doubts. Was Spencer truly suicidal?
It wasn't a typical attempt where you take a gun and pull the trigger or something along those lines. It was kind of a suicide attempt.
We decided that he wasn't really trying to kill himself. He was just trying to pull her back. I think he knew how to work her.
I can totally understand why Antoinette brought Spencer back into the house after his suicide attempt. She maybe thought that it would be a turning point where now he would put the family first in multiple ways, including financially.
I mean, these two had already been divorced, there are kids in the picture. There are a lot of reasons to try to say, keep this relationship together.
At the same time, though, I think that she was probably making a big mistake. And the mistake was to let hugely manipulative behavior, like quasi-attempting suicide, be rewarded. If you let it work once, you're highly likely to have to deal with it again.
There needed to be some steps before that. There needed to be some healing between them before that. They should have focused on that instead of having her immediately move him back in.
Antoinette lays out new ground rules for their lives together.
That's for you. Things are gonna change around here.
Are you serious?
And Spencer doesn't like them.
When she took him back, she did not go back to the way things were before. She kept control of her own money.
He no longer had access to her money because, of course, him having access means that he can go and do whatever it is that he wanted to do.
But that's not all.
They weren't sleeping in the same bedroom anymore. And he didn't like that I was sleeping in the room with her because he felt like that was inhibiting their reconciliation.
Antoinette and Spencer had not been intimate for quite some time.
Antoinette's also working even longer hours than before, and Spencer wants to know why.
Have you seen my purse?
No, I didn't.
He started up his same old shenanigans again. He wanted to believe that she was seeing somebody else.
Spencer is so suspicious of Antoinette, any little thing could be proof that she's cheating, even a phone number he finds in her purse.
Look, it's right there.
I'm just losing my mind these days. Too much on my brain.
He decides to investigate.
Well, he had a friend at the police department that he actually contacted to pull phone records for him.
I appreciate it.
And he's shocked to discover Antoinette's been calling the mysterious number on a regular basis.
We started to see his jealous nature really come out.
Spencer. Hi, baby.
You miss these?
Spencer, you've been going through my stuff? Baby, these are for when I exercise, if you must know.
So why do you leave early then get home late?
I've got a lot of work to do.
Work, huh?
What's this?
Who you be calling?
What are you talking about? Spencer, it's just some guy. Some guy who's been helping me get through stuff.
She had male friends that she talked to, but they were just male friends.
What? You don't trust me?
I don't know. Can I?
Oh, Spencer, no, no.
She was very upset because she just didn't feel like he had any reason to feel as though she was cheating on him.
She was just at a breaking point.
With Spencer suspicious and Antoinette angry, something is about to blow.
This is definitely not a suicide. This is a suicide. How does the bag end up there?
If you find those, you'll find who did this.
Spencer, stop! Stop!
After years of financial problems, Antoinette and Spencer Chase's troubled marriage is hanging by a thread. And when Spencer accuses Antoinette of cheating on him, it's enough to make that thread snap.
It's over, Spence. We're through. I've thought about it, and I want you to leave.
Oh, come on, not this again.
Sunday morning, they were on their way to church, and he was driving, and she proceeded to tell him that she wanted him to leave.
Are you serious?
Yes. Yes. You need to leave.
She's very strong, and I think she was finding herself again, her voice.
Spencer, stop! Stop! Stop it.
The free ride is over. It's come to an end, and I don't think he liked it very much.
It's over.
Spencer reluctantly agrees to move out. But 2 days later, he's still there. For Antoinette, nothing has changed.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, baby. You look pretty today.
Typically, she went to work a little bit late. She left around 9:30 and got to work around 10 or so, and that was just her normal habit. That's the way she did it.
As a favor to Antoinette, Spencer starts her car to warm it up for her.
Spencer goes out and runs a couple errands. And the errands include going to PNC Bank, going to Burger King, and going to CVS.
By 10:30, Antoinette's late, and her coworkers are becoming concerned.
Usually she'll call me around 9:30. That didn't happen.
I had gone back to her desk like 2 or 3 times and she wasn't there, and I started to get worried because the time was ticking away.
When Spencer returns home at 11:30, Antoinette's car is still in the driveway. The engine's running, exactly as he'd left it hours ago. He goes into the house, looking for Antoinette.
Antoinette! Oh, no, 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 no!
Antoinette was found in the kitchen with the electrical cord close to her body.
911 emergency. I need help. My wife, I think she hung herself.
Spencer was the 911 caller. He called stating that his wife was possibly deceased.
When I left her this morning, she was about to go to work. When I came home, I found her like that. I don't know what happened. She hung herself from the banister. I think she killed herself. I've been out all day running errands.
Detective Ben Brown arrives at the house soon after.
Antoinette Chase had already been transported to a local hospital, and Spencer Chase was actually leaving en route to the hospital. The garage door was in the up position, and then the entry door inside the garage was open. And when I walked in, I noticed there was a small pool of blood in the kitchen area close to an island, and an electrical cord lying on the floor.
As Detective Brown begins to investigate Antoinette's suicide, her family rushes to the hospital.
I got to the hospital emergency room and the doctor said, your mom didn't make it. And I just remember screaming into my jacket. I just couldn't associate what it feels like to, I just saw her this morning and now she's no more. I didn't even know what to do with myself at that point.
You're in a state of disbelief. It's like I just talked to Antoinette a couple of days before this. How is she dead? She wasn't ill. What happened?
No, she had no reason to kill herself. For what? She knew through her faith what that would mean.
She loved her life too much, and there were no signs that she was suicidal.
Antoinette was a good mom who cared a lot about her child, and so it is statistically rare for somebody like that to commit suicide.
She has been trying to make things better, trying to improve her financial situation. You know, she seems to be on the upward climb. Nothing that really looks like you would say this could have been something she would have done.
One thing I can tell you about suicide by hanging is that it's hard to fake. So we're gonna know pretty quickly when we really delve into that crime scene whether it was or it wasn't.
The investigators agree that suicide is highly unlikely.
Antoinette was about 180 pounds, and 180 pounds of dead weight is not going to be held by just anything. You need something sturdy to hold that. And there was no way that the wooden banister would have been able to sustain her weight.
The coroner said there was no way she could have hung herself because the markings would have been in a V shape to represent hanging, and hers were not. They were completely around her neck.
If it wasn't suicide, what happened?
Coffee, Mr. Chase.
The police looked to Spencer Chase for answers.
How's your marriage, Mr. Chase?
It's fine.
Does your wife have a history with depression?
Not at all.
I'm sorry, I have to ask these questions. And you say you were doing what again?
I went to the pharmacy. I grabbed something to eat. I was just running errands.
Okay. Is there any way you can prove that?
Yeah. I have the receipts on the counter at home.
He was very clear about the places he'd been and that something had happened to his wife while he was gone for about an hour.
Is there anything you can think of that happened that day? Or anything that was off, odd? Anything at all?
Wait. Come to think about it, the garage door was open.
He told me in so many words that he thought her purse was missing. He last saw it on a stool in their bedroom, along with her 2 phones.
Do you think it was a home invasion?
Well, we're gonna find that out. I don't know.
He told me very specifically that if you find those, you'll find who did this.
Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Chase.
What? That's it?
And for now. And don't worry, we'll be in touch shortly.
I could go?
Yes, you can.
Right away, I obtained a search warrant to be able to obtain cellular records to find the last locations of the phones.
Cell phones leave traces. You can use the cell towers to kind of retrace where the cell phone was potentially located.
The night of the incident, we were able to get the cell records back and determine the possible location for the phone, which was probably about 15 miles from the scene.
The next day, Detective Brown leads a search party through the area.
The area where we believe the phone to be was at the rear of a shopping center. There was a small pond and then a small creek that surrounded it, and then high grass and some wooded area.
He had police cadets to go to the area and walk it shoulder to shoulder, looking for the phone, and they couldn't find it.
And I was very disappointed when we didn't locate it because I knew in the back of my mind that it was there.
Unwilling to let it go, Detective Brown returns 4 days later.
I was having a hard time getting the thought of that phone out of my head.
And so he went back on his own to the area, and he just starts looking around in an area other than where the academy class had went to look for this purse.
Only 50 feet from the initial search area, he finds a series of storm drains. Armed only with a crowbar and a hunch, Detective Brown goes to work.
And so he goes, walks over to his storm drain, pops open the top, which isn't an easy endeavor by any means.
The first manhole I opened, there was nothing there. There was about 6 inches of water flowing through the manhole, some debris and things of that nature down there.
He pulls up a second, nothing. Then a third.
And that's when he kind of uncovers everything.
2 plastic grocery bags, half submerged in the murky water.
And once we opened the bags and pulled out the items, we discovered Antoinette's black purse. In the purse, her work ID, her driver's license, her wedding band, and a ring were in there. Both phones were located in that same bag.
It's clearly not a home invasion gone wrong.
If you're gonna take the wedding rings, you take it to a pawn shop. You know, a robber isn't gonna take the wedding rings and not try to pawn them.
But that's not all they recover from the storm drain.
Inside of the plastic bags, you find an extension cord similar to one that's found around the neck of Antoinette at the scene.
The chase is on.
This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing.
It just really angry me so much. She didn't deserve that.
Antoinette Chase's belongings are found in a storm drain, proof that her random murder is anything but. And in fact, all signs point to one person, her husband, Spencer.
There was actually a 5-pack of electrical cords in the house, and we were able to account for 4 of them in the home. And once we discovered the one in the sewer drain, we were able to account for all 5 cords. We found DNA in the form of blood and hair fibers on the electrical cord, and we were able to say that that was the murder weapon. We pulled his car over and arrested him at that time, and then took him back to our station.
He didn't resist or anything, and that was it. It was pretty simple.
At the trial 1 year later, the prosecution lays out a picture of what happened on the day Antoinette was killed.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, baby. You look so pretty today.
You know, she's like, oh, you look pretty today. I hope you have a good day. And I love you. I just nodded and, you know, left for work.
Did you get a chance to think about what we were talking about?
I did.
And?
He couldn't deal with the finality of the marriage. And there may have been some discussion that morning about how this would proceed, and I think something occurred where he walked up behind her.
And I just wanted to tell you, you're very beautiful.
What?
She had scratch marks because apparently when he was choking her, she was trying to grab the extension cord from around her neck. So she scratched herself.
The coroner estimates it took 2 agonizing minutes from start to finish.
The fact that he had to hold the extension cord around her neck as long as he did, and it just really angered me so much because she didn't deserve that.
After Antoinette has taken her last breath, Spencer tries to cover his tracks.
He was setting the stage to say that an intruder had come in the house based on the garage door being open and someone could just have walked in.
He then went and ran some errands to kind of create his alibi.
But he's not thinking straight. The receipts that are supposed to save him help to indict him.
And he laid them on the counter, but in order to do that, he had to step over her body to get to the kitchen.
That's not something a grieving or emotional upset husband would do, finding his wife dying on the floor.
And he laid them on the counter in the order in which he visited the establishment. Who does that?
Then there's the 911 call.
I need help.
The 911 call to me was unusual in that Spencer's awareness didn't seem heightened. He wasn't really truly upset. To me, it was almost as if he was pretending to be emotional.
He was like, my wife, oh, please come help me. I think my wife's dead.
Do you know how to perform CPR?
No, I don't.
Okay, I need you to remove the cord, tilt her head back, pinch her nostrils, and blow into her mouth.
I can't. She's got blood in her mouth. Please, just send somebody. Please.
This is a woman that you have slept with for years, and you're worried about blood on her mouth? It's just unconscionable to me.
And he makes another crucial mistake.
If Spencer would have turned Antoinette's phone off, we probably never would have found it, just based on the fact that we wouldn't have been able to receive signals from it.
It might be a crime of passion, or maybe there's more to it.
There were several insurance policies that would have been paid out to Spencer as the husband if it wasn't ruled a murder and he wasn't found involved. Antoinette's insurance policies were worth about $617,000.
He thought if he could get away with murder, he could get the insurance money. He could continue to drive the Mercedes, he could be in a nice house, he could continue to wear nice clothes, and no one would be the wiser because he said she hung herself.
Spencer seemed to be somebody who was sort of narcissistically self-indulgent in the sense of being willing to put the family's financial health at risk so that he could have luxury things and experiences that he wanted. But we haven't really seen somebody who was a cold, calculated killer like we now know him to have been.
It is very clear to me that Spencer was making plans and an alibi before he killed Antoinette. This could be something he plotted the day before, but it is very clear that it wasn't like an act of rage or passion. This was a cold, calculated murder.
Spencer Chase is convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
Once in a while, the system does work. Once in a while, you're able to kind of bring some measure of justice.
I can't say enough about Detective Brown. Had it not been for him, this thing wouldn't have been solved.
He provided the breakthrough, which enabled us to secure the conviction against Spencer.
But it can't bring back Antoinette.
I like to remember her smile and her personality, how she was always willing to help anybody with anything. That's the person that I knew.
No one knows how it is to be me, to not have a mother, to have a mother that was murdered, not by a stranger, but by someone that was in my life since I was 6.
But, you know, in life you love who you love, and it defies logic sometimes.
And I don't know if I'll ever forgive him. I just don't understand why. I don't understand why he chose not to save her life after she saved his.